Anyway, I would like to thank to the local organizers for opportunity to present the activities of the Education and Training Working Group. And also I would like to thank Isabel for a kind introduction. So my talk will be focused on one of the working groups. In previous talk, Vicky already introduced Eurachem and provided you with information about working groups in whole picture. The Education and Training Working Group is one of the 7 Eurachem working groups, and as you already heard, there are several joint working groups in our organization. They are cooperating closely with Eurolab, EE, which is Eurolab, Eurachem, and European Accreditation, and so on. In my presentation, I will focus on the Education and Training Working Group, its membership, and a relatively short overview of our current activities. I will speak about workshops in more details than Vicky did. I will speak about the Eurachem reading list, guides that are under the wing of our working group, and shortly introduce 2 leaflets that we prepared in previous years. I also try to inform you about impact of activities of our working group, and at the end I'm going to sum up my talk. So the working group was established very likely around year 2000, and it seems that the first chair was Bernd Venclawiek. Very likely he chaired this group till 2006. I do remember Elizabeth Pritchard as an excellent speaker on several training events and also as a chair of the group. And Vicky Barwick chaired the working group since 2011. And during her role as a Eurachem chair, I dared to accept the challenge and to chair Education and Training Working Group. The group operates in accordance with the Eurachem Memorandum of Understanding. Currently, we have 25 members in the group from 17 countries. There are 2, let's call it, forms of membership. It's full and corresponding membership, and about 50% of members contribute to our activities as corresponding members. And we would like to welcome new members, especially from countries that are not represented so far in our working group. Now I would like to quote shortly from the terms of reference of the working group. As you can see, the mission is to collate and evaluate information on the state of education and training in analytical science in different countries. The working group members will promote the concept and importance of training, in particular with respect to the development of teaching materials and courses on quality management, which emphasize metrology. The working group will disseminate information on training courses for professional analysts in the workplace, which cover quality management with an emphasis on metrology. And we will collaborate with other organizations having similar or complementary aims. Regarding the previous activities, as I already mentioned, I was not in the group from the beginning, so despite the fact I remember some training events in Istanbul in 2006 and Athens 2008, from which I learned a lot, I will focus only on activities from 2010. In green, you can see workshops and training courses that were organized or co-organized by the group. So there was a quality assurance workshop at the General Assembly 2011 in Moscow. Then there was training course and workshop on internal quality control in Berlin, quality in analytical measurements workshop in Lisbon, then workshop on data quality analysis and integrity in Dublin 2018, also along with the General Assembly. Then there were 2 workshops in Nicosia, Cyprus 2019 and 2020. In briefly, they dealt with critical issues on accreditation standards. And The first Eurachem online workshop in summer 2020 was organized by our friends and colleagues from Eurachem Romania. In black, you can see some other activities. Many of them I will mention in details in my following slides. So the first activity I would like to mention in more details is a reading list for analytical scientists. I guess that 6 or 7 years ago, we started to collate relevant material on a different methodology in chemistry and in quality assurance of results topics to form and offer to everyone interested in bibliography with relevant resources. It is based on bibliographies originally produced by Training and by LGC. And the main focus of the list is methodology in chemistry, particularly quality assurance. The list is not intended to be a comprehensive list of all scientific publications in the field, and the aim is to provide a selection of websites, standards, guides, books, leaflets, and some crucial or very important scientific articles and reports. The guide is intended for people that are interested in some relevant literature, and many of references provided in the list are available to download free of charge from different websites: Eurachem, Joint Committee of Guides in Metrology, Euramet, Eurolab, ILAC, European Accreditation, and so on. The aim was or has been to update the bibliography annually. And now on this slide, you can see one of the first pages of the list where the different chapters that are inside the list can be seen. So we deal with intrology to metrology and terminology, traceability of measurement results, uncertainty of measurement, statistics, validation, reference materials, proficiency testing, internal quality control, and quality assurance and accreditation. If you are interested, you can find the list that is freely available on Eurachem website. If you choose a section from menu publications, there is a reading list, and you can download it as a PDF version, or you can see it in HTML format in the lower part of the website. Since the current version that is on the website is the 5th edition that was updated and published in February 2022 this year, since chairs of several working groups showed their interest to contribute to the list, for example, uncertainty from sampling working group, of qualitative analysis working group, some changes can be expected in the next edition of the reading list. It's somehow likely we will have more chapters. So each chapter is regularly reviewed by working group that is working in the field, or by several experts from education and training working group. Now I will move on to guidance documents that were prepared or are under the wing of education and training working group. There are 2 guidance documents. The first one we called TAM, Terminology in Analytical Measurement, and it's Introduction to Vocabulary of Metrology, the 3rd edition. Shortly after publishing of WIM3, the working group started to work on guidance to language in the world of metrology to make it accessible to analytical community. As I understand, the 3rd edition of WIM was prepared to broader audience than previous versions that were focused mostly on physicists. Dust chemists and other experts, at least in my country, realized that there is something like vocabulary and metrology. So the guidance to the language in the world of metrology, that's the main aim of this guide. The scope of the Eurachem guide is to cover a selection of concepts in WIM3, focusing on those most likely to be encountered in analytical laboratories. The guide is intended for laboratory staff, accreditation bodies, for those commissioning measurements, and for those using measurement results. You can see a list of contributors to the first edition of this guide. This guide was published in 2011, or the first edition was published in 2011. And as you heard from talk given by Vicky, the guide is currently under the revision. On the website, you can find several translations of TAM, and the guide itself is separated in 4 main chapters. The first one is dealing with general metrology. In brackets, you can see a selection of terms that are covered in each chapter. The second chapter deals with metrological traceability, then measurement uncertainty, and validation and method performance. Altogether, there are 90 concepts from WIM3 discussed in the guide, and examples are to explain concepts that are of great importance for analytical scientists. As an example, I showed one of the concepts, that's the limit of detection or detection limit. Each concept is defined from WIM3 in gray box, and there is some explanation that follows the definition. And as you already probably know, this guide is freely available, free of charge, from Eurachem website. The other guide I would like to briefly introduce to you is a Guide to Quality in Analytical Chemistry, and Guide to Accreditation. The currently third revision is on the website. This edition reflects changes that were introduced in ISO 17025 edition from year 2005. And the guide focuses on requirements of the standards. The content should also be of use to organizations seeking accreditation or certifications against the requirements of different standards. The guide was published in 2016 and is for obvious reason under the revision. The reason is that ISO 17025 itself was revised in 2017, and translations on the website that are available are into Farsi and Czech language. Editor of the guide is Vicky Berwick from LGC, United Kingdom. You can see a list of contributors that contributed to this edition. And as an example, there is a page of content where you can see relevant chapters that are included in this guide. I am aware of rather significant changes between 2005 and 2017 edition of ISO 17025. Nevertheless, I believe that basic principles regarding, for example, personnel, laboratory environment, equipment, method validation, measurement uncertainty has remained the same. So this guide can still be found beneficial by many laboratory staff. For example, Appendix A, providing you some guidance how to run quality audit in the lab, was used in our laboratory to prepare the first internal standard we had a couple years ago. Now briefly about the impact of the guides. Unfortunately, I don't have up-to-date data, so there are numbers about downloads of Eurachem guides between 2020 and 2021, and you can see that the guides I mentioned are on the 4th and 5th position from the overall downloads of guides from the website. Blue part of each row is in English, and orange part is corresponding to translations. Let us move on. The last point I would like to mention is informational leaflet. The first one, accreditation of ISO IAC 17025 version 2017. We prepared a short leaflet that was published in 2018, and this leaflet gives a quick overview of the main changes that appeared in the edition 2017 of the standard. It advises how can laboratory process smoothly translation process. I am aware that the translation process is already over, and several translations are available on the Eurachem website. The next leaflet I would like to shortly mention is dealing with terminology. It's called You Talk, We Understand, the Way Out of the Tower of Babel. And it emphasizes the need of a common terminology language, its introduction to TAM, to Wim3 guide. And one example that commonly brings challenges to many languages, explains terms or concepts through NS, precision and accuracy. And you can see a list of translations that are freely available on the Eurachem website. Again, you can see number of downloads between 2020 and 2021 from Eurachem website. And since the transition period of the new standard was in place, the highest numbers of downloads of the leaflets was the one dealing with changes in new edition of ISO 17025 standard. So let me briefly sum up my talk. Mission of the Education and Training Working Group is to contribute to the development and delivery of education and training in chemical metrology and quality assurance for both analytical scientists and the broader community. And we produce freely accessible materials. Main current activities are development and maintenance of a reading list, revision of both guides. We also contribute to some workshops and support other workshops, and we closely collaborate with other interested partners, for example, UCAMS and Eurolabs. And thank you very much for your kind attention.